At the end of the day, generic people don't become successful. If you go into work every day and you do what everybody, tells you to, long term, those are not the people that get promoted. The people who have a sense of who they are, the people who have a sense of their own direction and their voice, who bring their own opinion to the table, those are the ones who tend to get recognized. In the same way, the generic brands don't get a following and they don't get very much money because they're just like everybody else. That's going to be the pull to be like everybody else because it's safer, it's easier. It's one of those things where you just sort of feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm doing things that other people are doing. I must be doing it right. A lot of it for me is to focus on what matters. If you're talking about your personal brand, like let's use that for an example. For your personal brand, you are not where you went to school. You are not where you worked. You are not a bunch of screenshots on your portfolio site that just simply show the work that you do. And if you are that, you shouldn't want the jobs that is going to get you because it's just going to mean that there's a bunch of like executional work that you're going to do that's not going to ask you for your voice, your opinion, or any of your creativity. Here again, going back to what I see in a lot of personal brands, the average resume that I see goes something like this. Whenever you get in there, there's like the name, maybe there's a little statement about what they do, phone number, social media, all that stuff. Then we get into the corporate buzzword bingo section of the resume, which is we're going to use a lot of words that we think people really feel are important, are going to make us sound intelligent. And it's about anywhere from 2 to 4 sentences. Like I said, a lot of words sound very important, but whenever you step back and read it, I forgot what it said before I was done reading it. Because again, it's a lot of just generic speak about things that don't make you stand out. And especially in this moment, right? Your resume is your first introduction to somebody. This is the first time you meet them. And that's all you're going to do is sort of have this generic statement. Well, then what do? Then we talk about our jobs. And then down at the end, hopefully at the end, you put your education. If you put your education first, I can tell you that that often is a red flag and know that you have never done anything in your career that you think is better than where you went to school. Then we have the other ones where they have the fun trend of percentages. I'll give you an example. This was a real one that I saw. Somebody sent me a resume, and on that resume, it had their skills. They were 75% skilled in typography. The hell does that mean? Right? This trend has got to stop because, like, 75% against what? Are you against like Dieter Rams? Is this like the Gutenberg standards? Is it sans serif? Is it serif? Are we talking about script? Like 75% against what? It's the same thing when I see Sketch or Figma or Studio or InVision or like things like that. It's like, oh, I'm 80% proficient. What's the standard we're judging ourselves against here, right? The problem here is that one, doesn't make any damn sense because there's not a percentage that we're rating against. And the bigger problem is that you don't seem to see that problem. You're just trying to fit in and do what everybody else does without thinking about things. That's the only time I've ever used that flame transition, and I stand by it for what this is. But the bigger part is, if you want to launch that side hustle, you want to progress in your career, you want to do whatever that is, it's going to be work. And I think this is the part where I see a lot of other people sort of fall down. Because, in a lot of cases, people will build a brand after they launch a product. They build a brand whenever they want a new job, right? Like there's something where they're like, oh, we probably should say something about this. There's a startup I'm advising right now where they have the whole product. They have a big pitch coming up and they're like, oh, we should probably figure out what we stand for. Then again, that's a problem because it's too late. The thing is that for your product, for you as a creative, for what it is you do, these are going to be constantly evolving problems. Brands are not a fixed thing. This is a living conversation about where it is that you are and what's going on. In many cases, it also highlights another problem that I see for people who want to become more successful. A lot of people who even ask me, like, well, where you got in your career? What was the secret? Like, what was the magic bullet? What was the thing that you did? And for me, the problem is in the question, because the reality is that if you want to do that, work your ass off and have amazing ideas and never stop improving. That's the real insight there. But again, the fact that you're looking for a shortcut sort of implies the problem. In many cases, whenever you launch that product, you're going to need to go out there, put the MVP out there, see what is it like, be able to continue to work, refine. The same thing with you, with your brand. You're a work in progress. There's stuff you're going to have to keep working on. Your work ethic is going to define your success. At the end of the day, the people I see are the most successful. Work ethic will beat talent every time. Talent is great in the beginning of your career. Talent is good whenever you start something. And again, I have trained myself to have a talent to do this, to talk. I was gifted with a voice. I was gifted with the ability to figure out how to be able to do this. I've had to work at it. I was somebody in my mid-20s, had paralyzing stage fright. This is not natural to me. This is something I've had to work on. keep working, keep refining, keep listening, keep doing those sort of things. Over the arc of your career, your work ethic is what's going to define your success.